I'm always a little nervous turning high voltage Chinese equipment on. Welcome back, friends, to the shop. Today we're going to be thoroughly testing the cheapest plasma cutter on Amazon, the $150 Hero Cut. Now really, is there anything worse than an unboxing video? Man, are we not all over that? I'm going to make this very, very brief. But just kind of an interesting fact, when I was looking at this, there were two options available. There was a 120 and a 240. And the 240 was $5 cheaper. So I thought, boy, we'll always go with the 240 when you can. Oh my goodness, it's so tiny. I had no idea it was going to be so small. I mean, it looks like it's like the size of a lunch pail. Let's have a look at the accessory pack here. It is so little, guys. It's like the Mike Bloomberg of plasma cutters. Here before you is the complete kit. Well, one thing I will give it is it is comprehensive. I mean, it literally has everything a guy would need to get started. You're probably not going to have to go to the store. So we've got some extra electrodes there, so those are a consumable, so that's nice. We got a couple hose clamps. We've even got 3 different options for your air hose to come in. When I looked at the box, I was a little dismayed because it had this barb style of connection, which who uses that? You know, we use automotive quick connection ones, but they did give us an option for a small hose, a large hose, and the automotive style, so we can simply thread that in there. Also, 30 amp twist lock plug. Not the highest quality, but that means we can go directly in to the plug. So that's pretty nice too, you know, set it for kind of a US standard. We've got, it even came with a pressure regulator with some sort of a bit of a dryer in there. Now, with your plasma torches, it's imperative that your air going into it is very dry. So I use an external automotive style dryer, so we won't need this. But this is a pressure regulator because it needs to run between 40 and 80 PSI. So if your compressor puts out 110, that's too high, so you can control it there. So that's nice. Pressure gauge, as well as the mount. For the Hero Cut test, I've got 3 pieces of material we're going to try. We've got basic sheet metal. This is just cut out of a 55-gallon drum, so that's something that should be simple for any plasma cutter. We get up into 1/4 inch, a little 1/4 inch strap, and then at the very maximum of its claimed ability, that 8 millimeters, which is going to be the 3/8, which well, we will see about that. Things look pretty good. I mean, a lot of solid brass. It's delicate, of course. Everything is definitely has that Chinesium feel about it. Next up is the connection for the grounding clamp. You can see here, solid brass. It has a little nipple on there for lining it up. That should just twist in there like that. The only thing left is making the connection with the air hose in the back. That's what's so appealing about the plasma torches, is you're not buying any gas or anything. Now it comes with the barred fittings. We're not going to use that. We're going to use the automotive style of fittings here. So we'll remove this one. And I think I noticed here, this is not the one I have. There is a warm place in hell for the manufacturers who don't standardize things. This is one of those things. There are half a dozen different shapes and sizes of these things. It would be nice if there was all one, so we'll have to swap this out for one. Just as I was about to heap praise upon the Hero Cut, it let me down. This is not replaceable. They are actually forcing us to use the regulator and dryer, which, you know, it's not a bad idea. So we can definitely do that here. So we'll just use this barb connection. What do you want to bet Granddad's old stock of automotive stuff is going to have what we need in here? We need the different style of air chuck here. The good news is I found one. The bad news is it's not metric. Yep, the metric system rears its ugly head again, and we are at we have a problem here. So some of these, actually, these heads, they're cross-platform. I think you can use them on more than one air hose. Let's mate it up, put some air to it, and see if it'll hold the heads that I have. These stainless hose clamps they provided are among the worst quality-wise that I've ever seen. What's the chance that my air hose is going to mate up to this? You see, there's God's grace in effect. He always helps out those who love him. This little unit, if you don't know, it does several different things. One, it's a pressure regulator. It's also a water separator or kind of a dryer. So this float bowl right here will collect a condensation that comes from your compressor, and you can drain it out the bottom, and then there's a small micron filter there. There's not a whole lot to keep dry or air moisture out of it. This is not something you'd want to use on a long-term basis. But how these work is this needs to operate between 40 and 65 according to the manual. So with your pressure regulators, as you screw them in, now the pressure coming out of my compressor is 150 pounds. So I can control it here. So we'll go on the high side. We'll go up to, let's go up to 50, 55 right there. Now if we turn the other way, of course it will release that pressure. This is an interesting comparison here. So on the right is the grounding clamp for the Miller-Matic, which is of course, you know, a high-end welder. And then we have the Hero Cut grounding clamp. So the thing that keeps coming to mind with this stuff is at least they're trying. As far as thickness and spring tension, it's, you know, it's not quite there, but it's probably 70% of it. But look inside. They've got real copper grounding straps, clamps there. They've got a ground connecting them, the two of them together. The cable itself is copper and exactly the same size as we have with the Miller on a much smaller machine. So even the hardware connecting, it's bigger. So just kind of a fun comparison there from, you know, a high-end clamp to what you're getting there from kind of the Chinesium stuff. I'm always a little nervous turning high voltage Chinese equipment on, a fear of being electrocuted. All right, turned on, fan's running. We'll start with the sheet metal. I've stenciled out a little picture of a yard bird here we can cut out, or maybe, we'll see. Here's the stinger. There's a little safety, pretty simple. Functional, doesn't bother me that bad, but overall looks pretty good. So let's see what we can do here. Well, I am pleasantly surprised. I can't say that I noticed any difference from my high-end plasma torch. It was very nice to use, very fast. Be able to cut out a little thing out of sheet metal, no problem. Pretty nice, actually. Let's go up to 1/4 inch and see what happens then. Here's a piece of 1/4 inch by 1 strap. This is getting to be thicker, but still well within the parameters according to the instructions there. Let's boost the power up to full, give it every chance. Let's go with the 3/8. This is pretty chunky stuff, pretty heavy duty here, and see if it gets through that all right. I noticed the temperature light on, it's amber. I don't know if that was on before or not. We'll keep an eye on that. It will cut through 3/8. That's pretty chunky steel. I mean, for common guys, most guys, I mean, I don't think we're really going to be working over, using too much over 1/4 inch. And 1/4 inch, it seemed to have no problem there. So that's pretty good. Of course, you know, not near as good as the one I have, but good grief, you could buy, what, 8 of these for the price of one of those? So, you know, it depends on what you need. If you're cutting, you know, 3/16, 1/8 inch stuff, it seems to work really good. And actually, the size of it is really nice. So, what did we learn here? Well, let's discuss the pros and let's discuss the cons. Pros first. Well, obviously the price for $150 for a 240 volt plasma cutter, that's pretty hard to beat. I would definitely recommend, if you have the means, to get the 240 over the 120. You're just going to get better performance. And the fact that it was $5 cheaper, that's kind of a no-brainer. But if convenience is a problem, you know, if you don't have a big 240 plug, then go with the 110. I'm sure it's not going to cut as good, but it'll probably do 1/8 inch, no problem. You know, it's a cute little thing. It kind of almost gives me the fizz. Maybe it's because I like the red color, but I mean, it's a decently put together little unit. There's just nothing really glaringly bad about it. Now, this is something that's going to be somewhat fragile. I mean, you can't expect the world for this price point. But if you're just going to be having it sitting kind of static at a workbench or something for small projects, I think go for it. I think it would be great for that. Be perfect for building wood stoves, the wood stove barrel that we had. It worked great ergonomically. The little stinger, the safety, I found nothing to be a problem. The switches feel good. All of the connections seem to fit. I didn't have any air leaks. I didn't get electrocuted. It's just, and the size of it. The size of it is very nice. And the fact that it came with everything that we needed to get started, right? So, I mean, that's worth something. What are the cons? Well, I'm not super, I don't know about that 100% duty cycle rating that they have. So what it said is that if you plug this into a 25 amp service, you could get 100% duty cycle. What that means is it's designed to run continuous. Like imagine an 8-hour shift where guys were just running it continuous without stopping. You know, that's pretty unusual to buy something. If you're buying something that's 100% duty cycle, whatever it is, compressors, welders, they're big time industrial items. They're not like this. So that is probably a bit optimistic. 50% duty cycle at 30 amps. I don't know where they got that or where that came from, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. This is not something you're going to be building Liberty ships with, right? So, but as far as yeah, I mean, it seems to be fine. I'd like to see a longer power cord. Of course, you know, the power cord is only 3 feet long or so. That's kind of an inconvenience, but apart from that, it's fine. So it worked. It got the job done. We were able to cut the steel that we needed to, and I'd say that it is what it is for what it is. It's a pretty decent little unit. So thanks for watching. Keep us in your prayers. May God bless you and your families. I'm signing off because the hailstorm is so loud you probably can't hear me. We'll see you guys on the next video.